Hi there, my name is Kay Moon and I'm a twin flame channel and Western astrologer. And this is a video about the full moon in Aquarius taking place on August 1st at 2:31 p.m. If you happen to be on the eastern seaboard of the United States, thank you so much for watching. Please use a pine cone, time zone converter for your local time. Something is going on happening between like what's coming through my brain and then out of my mouth. Like somehow it's like they're entertaining things coming out of my mouth as my brain is moving faster than my mind can speak. So I'm going to try to keep them in sync for this. Thank you guys so much for all of your patience in letting me get this video to you, this twin flame update to you. It's been so much fun, this Aquarius full moon. It's been very entertaining for me. And I really appreciate everyone who got in my inbox with a little hello, just making sure you're all good. That was very sweet of you. I love the way you guys care for me. You guys are so generous and kind to one another and to me, and that means a lot to me. And I also especially appreciate the folks who did not get in my inbox. Just trusting that I would get to it when I got to it, but who were also whose mind and heart I was also in. Thank you for not giving me more to have to do. I supremely appreciate that as well. Here is our Aquarius full moon, and it is a fun one indeed. I went into all the rich details during the Lightworker Energy update that was published alongside this one. Our full moon in Aquarius is going down right here at the 9th degree of Aquarius and receiving strong activation from Jupiter, our divine masculine energy. And that energy is coming from Jupiter in Taurus. It looks like a square, that 90-degree angle, which is an aspect of tension. Even though he is speaking harmoniously to Juno at that 22nd degree of Cancer, that is an aspect of ease and flow. And so I'm really liking this particular full moon for the divine counterparts because there's so much shifting, so much change. And specifically with this new moon in Aquarius, there's so much call into service. There's a really rich call into figuring out how to work with the collective energies in a way that really support people at this time and step into leadership at this time. Many of you are feeling that as old ways of being of service are now collapsing and or crumbling and new ways are still being sorted out. It's almost like I give this analogy to one of my clients this week as I looked at their chart. It's almost like we are where the room we were once in, we're out of it now. The door behind us has shut, and there's a new room available in front of us we can walk into. That door is open, but we haven't crossed the threshold yet. And so, figuring out where we fit, what's our service, what's our light work, how can I grow in this personally while also seeing where my role is to support collective work, collective energy is as well. That it's what's under construction, and it's coming. The transformation, growth, and change around that is coming through both divine masculine and divine feminine energetic fields with this lunation. And so I like it. I like it a lot. This particular new moon has a lot of optimism in it, a lot of solutions in it. Sorry, full moon. If we're willing to pay attention to what feeds us, what nourishes us, what grows us on both counterpart sides. So let's start to break some of that down. For full understanding of this particular full moon, you want to have a look at the Lightworker Energy Update because it is part of a season of divine change that I break down toward the end of that video that we will remain in from mid 2023. So that's now through mid 2024. And so there's going to be a lot of movement in the third dimension. And I explain how all of that works over there. But for the divine counterpart collective, we have Juno, our divine feminine energy, here at the 22nd degree of Cancer in sextile to Uranus. So that's a 60-degree angle there. And Uranus is in Taurus, the sign that deals with sensuality, pleasure in the body. She's kicking it in the sign that deals with family, with home, and with our emotional truth. And she's also in a trine to Neptune and Pisces over here. So that's that 120-degree angle, and opposite Pluto and Cancer over here, or Capricorn over here. And this is pretty big life change energy happening in the divine feminine energetic fields. And it's also once in a lifetime energy as well. With Pluto and Neptune and Uranus all speaking in tandem to her during this lunation. I think she was in conversation with them last lunation, and I believe she'll be in conversation with them at least Pluto at the next lunation. This is an energy that is like kind of going into the computer and tinkering with the hardware and the software at the same time so that the computer can function in a wholly new way. Okay. Pluto is in the process of creating an ending in the divine feminine energetic fields and in all of our lives too, as it is retrograde square to the transiting nodal axis. Pluto facilitates and fosters endings through the process of uh, the resurrection cycle. So it's a completion of one thing, an integration of its lessons, and then a resurgence or rebirth on the other side. And the resurgence and rebirth is nothing like what it previously was. It's impossible for it to be. And what we get with Juno opposite Pluto, since Juno on her own represents our divine feminine energy, is we have a major up level unfolding in the divine feminine energetic fields through the process of complete ending of the way divine feminine energy previously rendered. It's interesting. I don't know if you guys, there's this woman on Instagram, and I am rarely on that platform. I don't really like it very much personally, but I like to go over there for the memes. I'm not going to lie. I find that people post the funniest things there, and I like a good giggle at the end of my day. So, but I'm also subscribed to the Holistic Psychologist, and lately she's been posting a lot of content about the messages we give girls and women about how to be quote unquote strong women or strong girls that have actually really undermined our actual strength, our true strength. And so she's working through a process in her messaging of deconstructing some of those messages to facilitate deeper empowerment. And so those messages were appropriate at a certain season for us and our human growth. Now we're in a new season of human growth. And so her work is now debunking some of those messages around, the way we are strong, to facilitate, well, here's a new understanding of the way feminine energy can be a strength. And here's a new way we can message that for young girls. And here's a new way we can work and live with that as a society. And so powerful stuff to be unfolding right as Venus is going retrograde in Leo, fostering a self-love. Venus retrograde, probably one of my favorite Venus retrogrades since pre-2014 or 15 personally. And Juno is showing up in opposition to Pluto, forcing that ending to the way feminine energy previously rendered. So reading a lot like turning in one vehicle so that you can get an upgrade. And so all of our feminine energies are getting an upgrade at this particular time, regardless of what body vehicle you're in. Our feminine energy, the way we receive, the way that we bend and flex, the way that we understand nurturing and creativity. All of these are kind of, at this time in human history, classic understandings of feminine energy. All of these are in the process of going from one way of operating to a completely new way of operating. And it's through, in part, this resurrection cycle. And it is Uranus here that's fostering the activation energy. The activation is an activation of up level. Uranus's energy is like lightning, it's electricity, it's quantum movement, it's quantum thinking, quantum computing, quantum energy. And so this capacity to skip steps and move from one dimension to another without needing, to take the arduous journey of things going step by step. That's Uranus. Uranus gets us in motion in that way. And so Uranus and Pluto are in conversation for the collective, but they're in a special conversation during this lunation for the divine feminine energetic fields, where there is a death or an ending of what used to be. And then there's this influx of light codes and information packets and downloads for a rewriting of what it means to work with feminine energy. And this is especially potent because these are two of our most feminine signs. Cancer, which deals with our emotional truth, our emotional programming, our emotional integrity. It deals with mothers specifically and with families. It's affiliated, it's the one sign that specifically deals with mothers. And then we have a sign over here, Taurus, where Uranus is aspecting from, that deals with fertility and the female body itself. That's Taurus. And aspects of pleasure and aspects of the sensory, the five senses. And so with these together, having a conversation with Pluto and Neptune, our spirituality in influence as well, our connection to spirit, our connection to the ether, and to all that is. With all of these having a life-changing conversation with Juno, it's not a retrograde, which would have been even more powerful. Thank goodness for that. It's just, direct motion through the gateway of all three of these in conversation simultaneously. It is supercharging the divine feminine energetic fields with a really rich soil that we're going to be able to grow a lot of things with going forward. It's an upgrade to our emotional reality. It's an upgrade for many to their family structures, the way they think about family. It's an upgrade to our emotional integrity and what we will let ourselves do and not do based on just what's aligned and true for us. So it's a powerful, powerful transformative energy. Okay. I like to see it now. For divine counterparts in separation, for some of you, because Juno represents our commitment, she is the marriage asteroid, she's the marriage planet for all of us collectively, not just counterparts. For counterparts in separation, however, this Juno may facilitate the end of what you previously identified as a twin flame journey, a divine counterpart journey. It may be the completion of an ascension partner journey for you, or some soulmate journey. There may be that happening during this period of time, or the end of a segment of the journey that you even identified as separation for something else to start to arise. Ultimately, this is a liberation onto the next highest path in some way. Okay. And there's a lot of recalibration, especially because of the Uranian influence here. It's a sextile, so you're going to have to reach for the recalibration, meaning it's not just going to like happen upon you. You actually need to be involved and participating, either through maybe some psychological work, some healing work, some coaching work. You may be needing to do some sort of physical work to your body vehicle. Your health may be demanding your attention and upgrade at this time. There's some format of being liberated onto your next highest path if and only if you're participating in that liberation with your own two hands, your own 2 feet. Okay. There's a lot of discharging of old stories and the feelings associated with those stories. So, if you've got a story around abandonment in your family history, she's rocking in the sign of families. You've got a story of, maybe I'm the black sheep or I don't fit in or some other such, everyone puts the pressure on me. I'm the strong one in my family. You may find that this energy is some of the beginning of that story and all of the feelings that go with it coming to crumble, coming to completion and dissolution. Because it's the story and then the affiliated feelings. Again, Cancer deals with feelings. It's the story and then the affiliated feelings that we then live into as reality being just the way it is. It's the way the matrix renders for you. It's the way that people will then show up for you. And as those stories crumble, as those timelines collapse, because this is Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus in conversation, that's a timeline collapsing energy for sure. As those things crumble, you will start to see your life begin as you've known it to crumble, because that story as you change cannot stand, because the stories are all held up by our projection as we project out from our subconscious and conscious mind into the world then renders. And so as those stories crumble, your life will begin to crumble, but it is for the benefit of your evolution at this time. Okay. So where you have been repeating cycles or looping in your divine counterpartship connection specifically, if you've been in separation, you will find that there's there's a letting go to this in the feminine energetic fields. There's a like, what if none of that's true? Invitation on the table, especially where you've been in pain around this. There's a, what if none of the things I believed about this is true? What if maybe there's something more empowering that's true? What if there's something more liberating that's true? What if there's something more love based that's true, that includes me as lovable and chosen? Yeah. So consider that as this is unfolding for those of you who have been living, timelines of separation. There's an opportunity to get out of that here in this energy. Okay. And to quantum into something else. It'll be really important to watch the stories we tell ourselves in this energy. Um, I've done a lot of like corrective verbal modeling with my clients inside of our sessions in the last couple of weeks leading into this full moon, because they'll want to start I'll say, look, there's this positive thing and that positive thing, and here's the option and the choice. Well, that's ending, but this new thing is coming online. And they'll just say, okay, Moon, it's just so hard when fill in the blank with old story, old story, old story. And I'll say, what if it didn't have to be hard? What if it's only hard because you're attached to the way it used to be? What if something better than that is available now? And it is available, but we have to detach ourselves. And the planets are certainly helping, right? The setup of this, the energy here. I mean, I've never been more kind of blown away with the benevolence of the way God set this realm up, this universe up, these planets up, their kindness. I've never been more in awe of how good this is and how supported we really are than this. I mean, the energy of this is saying lean into pleasure, lean into what feels good with the way, Jupiter is in the sign of the five senses and pleasure there. The design that we've got as human beings is lean into what feels good, lean away from what causes pain. Putting your hand on the stove, pain, you know, literally sitting down on a burning fire, pain, finding shelter, good, feels good. Staying out of the elements preserves the body, preserves the health and well-being of the physical body. The design of the human being is perfectly coordinated with the design of the realm we're in, and the realm is trying to support us. And so the more we can get into in this energy, yes, there are some things ending. Yes, there are some things closing. Yes, there are some things shifting. The more we can get into, but what feels good? But where is their pleasure? Where is their growth? Where is their fertility? Where am I nurtured? And walk in those directions with our 2 feet and by choice, the more we can force our face to look away from the train wreck and toward the light, the easier it's going to be for us to get on these timelines that have more love, more connection, more beauty, more service, more light, more grace, more community, etc. And so, this kind of, but it's so hard when, well, I can't because, well, that can never happen because this, and this agreement with our self victimization, that's what is trying to come up out of the divine feminine energy fields. It's what we've had solidified as somehow being victims in the divine counterpartship, as a twin, as a divine feminine, as a this, whatever label you want to put on it for you. This energy is trying to break our attachment to any victimhood stories so that we can live in triumph, so that we can live in victory, so that we can live in love. And so I'm so grateful to have this, to see this, to recognize this, and to be able to share this with you all. Because, like I said, I've just never been more in awe of how perfect this is, because we've got this union year that we're all in that started, back in January, a once in 7 year meetup of the divine masculine energy, Jupiter, the divine feminine energy, Juno. Got this union year that we are in. It just, when I see that, and then I see the planets doing this overtime kind of sweep of pain stories to get them out of our system, it's just like, wow, like we're blessed. Like we really, like, the setup of the realm really has our back. Like that is just wow. So yeah, I like to see it, even if it's felt a little bit challenging. I said this in the Lightworker energy update. The degree of our pain is commensurate with the degree of our attachment to the way it used to be. And frankly, if you've identified as in some sort of separation story or some sort of pain around being a divine counterpart, aren't you ready to let that go? Aren't you kind of done with the pain at this point? That's the invitation, right? Like, cry it out as much as you have to, and then let go. Start to look to what feels good. Look toward the light. Look for the pleasure. Look for where there is growth for you. And I'm not talking that hard, arduous growth, right? I'm talking about like you threw a seed in the ground and the ground is already fertile and the thing just grows. It just grows like crazy. Look for that ease. That's what Taurus does. And Taurus people, they can get a bit of a bad rap for being stubborn or needing to have things their way or being slovenly or lazy. But honestly, that they are creatures of comfort is part of what has allowed this realm to include things like bubble baths and include things like salt that's been transported worldwide to flavor our food, and to have things like pajamas that are soft. Like, thank you, Taurus. We need you. We need more of you. I appreciate you. If anything, I'm willing to bet, I don't know anything about, the revolution around women's corsetry, but I'm willing to guess that there were like Taurus women on the front line going, burn the corset, before there were Taurus women on a front line going, burn the brasiers. So, this kind of liberation to be free to be in a body that's not in pain and live a life and a love life specifically that's not in pain. That's the permission slip this Aquarius full moon is giving all of us, because Aquarius really represents freedom. Collectives, yes, but also freedom. Okay. So, drop the pain story, look in another direction. There's a lot of solution. There's a lot of pleasure here, but you got to face that direction in order to get it. Where there are, where for those who are in union, who identify your story or your timeline in some sort of union energy, you may find that you and your counterpart are closing out a chapter in the way intimacy has worked and preparing now during this period of time to go much deeper. Okay. And so it may, listen, chapter closings for any of you who are book readers, right? If you like books, but maybe you don't like books, maybe you like television series. Sometimes right before the breakthrough happens, there's a bit of a breakdown that has things looking kind of grim right as you close a chapter. But you see there's more pages in the book. You see there's more episodes in the series. So you go, okay, well, this can't be the way it ends. And so there's an innate sense of hope, an innate sense of like, like, well, that was juicy. Can you believe that just happened? And there's this, just knowing that there's more episodes, that your main character didn't die at the last episode, knowing that there's more, more pages in the book lets you know, well, I guess there's something else. And so I want to, just real quick, just to close out that little bit for people who identify themselves as in some sort of separation. Here's the deal. The equivalent to more pages in the book or more episodes in the series, no matter how grim things may look, is that there's still breath in your bodies. You don't know what's going to happen or what could happen. You don't know what plot twist God has in store. You don't know kind of where things could go from here, right? The gift of this particular full moon is with Jupiter speaking to both the sun and the moon and the divine feminine. Jupiter in regular astrology, mundane astrology, represents faith. And so that there's breath means that there is still story. Even for those of you who have lost your counterpart to a circumstance such as death, that you are still breathing, still listening to this, means that there is still story for you that has the potential for happy ending for you. Turn toward what feels good. All right. Now, let's deal with the peoples in the unions. For those of you who identify yourself in some sort of union energy with your counterpart, regardless of what the label is or the structure is at this point in time, there is a closing out of the chapter and the way the intimacy works and has previously rendered so that things can now go deeper. If you have found yourself identifying and, well, we're in 5D union, but not 3D union, if that's your story, you may find the 5D union may go quiet during this period of time so that you can get prepared for some new 3D activity. If you're in some level where you're talking and thinking about this is, well, we've got, a level, we're close and we talk, but, we don't see each other. Or, he's in or she's in some sort of other relationship and I'm off to the side. You may find that this is a period of time where how you've understood it shuts down. There's an ending to this so that it can get upgraded. In order to get the new car, you have to trade in the old car. You can't keep the old car and then get a new car, right? I mean, some people can. I don't recommend it. It's really nice when you recycle those things. Don't just let them rot in your backyard. Like, trade them in, let somebody else do something with it. Just let them recycle the parts, use the metal in some other ways, right? And so the invitation is to not be overly attached to the way things used to be, because something deeper is going to unfold, provided you've got your faith engaged. That's that Jupiter piece here, influencing Juno. I'm going to influence her even more in the coming weeks over the Mercury retrograde. And once Mercury goes direct and she's over here in Virgo, Earth sign Virgo, there's opportunity coming for major breakthroughs and movement in the earth sign, earth energy, third dimension, to call the heavens, call the 5D down to earth. But there's going to need to be a releasing of your attachment to how it is in order for that to happen. For those of you who are even further along in union and there's some sort of like, we live together, we're married, or we're partnered, we have official labels on whatever this is that makes sense to the outside world. You guys may even be finding that you're transitioning into deeper levels of your co-created manifestations, movement from one apartment to a house, movement from, engaged to married, movement from two of you to a family, to kids being involved, movement from this kind of like, each of us working alongside one another, but now deciding maybe we want to build a project together, right? Because Pluto deals with work. Down here not Pluto, but Pluto's in Capricorn. Capricorn deals with work. We've got Juno up here in that sign of family, and just a restructuring all the way around. The interesting piece of this is that it's the belief systems that is influencing what happens from here. The belief systems tell us, okay, this is what's possible. But if your belief systems are really stuck at the last thing, and now that the last stage is ending, we've moved through a graduation period with it. If you are stuck at high school and grieving high school and trying to keep going back to the building and manifest that building, you'll never get to the beauty of university and graduate school. You'll never get to, holding that degree and then all the things you can do with that degree, right? If you're clinging to being, I don't know, boyfriend and girlfriend, it's hard to evolve into being, husband and wife, or like married couple in that regard. So, I use the colloquialisms as broad metaphor, apply them where it fits for you. Okay. But yes, there is ending here. Yes, there's closure here. Yes, there's completion here. Yes, it is with purpose. Yes, it is for the purpose of going much deeper and further into the heart of love than you've ever been. And so allow that completion to happen. Be in the not knowing of what's to come with faith that it has to be better than what was. Okay. Let's see. Some of y'all might have kids in this mix or parents. Some of y'all have parents you got to take care of. So kids may move out, parents may move in. Oh, I hate to think of that, but they call that being part of the sandwich generation. All the funsies. Hopefully y'all have, a nice big compound so everybody can feel like they have their own space while being together. Or you just get along with your parents and it's just a bunch of fun for everybody. That would be the best situation. There could be some relocating together, changing of the places, the homes, or the building, the structure itself for those in union that you may see. For both identities, whether you're identifying separation or identifying union, for how you look at your counterpartship, the connection is evolving. Okay. As Juno slides into place opposite Jupiter, or sorry, opposite Pluto at this time, there's major evolution as she's talking to Uranus at this time. So if you need some, I did talk much earlier this year about this being a union window year. For those who are new to the channel, I will just show you why. Once every 7-ish years, the divine counterparts will meet up in one sign. And when that happens, I call that a union window. The energy can be felt 1 year prior and then 1 year after. That happened this year. The last time was 2015. There they met up, Juno and Jupiter, husband and wife, in January in the sign of Aries. Okay. In the sign of Aries, that meetup is what's going to govern the vibration and frequency that underpins divine counterpartships over the next 7 years until they meet up again. Now, what is Aries? The Aries energy is all about ambition. It is about the individual. It is about our own uniqueness. It's also about taking action. It's also about our selfhood, our identities, and passion as well to some degree. And so, with the divine counterparts meeting up in Aries, the way toward or anchoring or solving challenges with union is through the Aries energy. Okay, it's accessing that individual selfhood and bringing that 100% to the table. That's going to foster deepening of union or catalyzation of union. Right now, what's interesting about this, and so many of you know me, I used to do like twin flame readings where I would read for both people if they were not there, if only one person was there. I've since moved into just reading for the individual, and we can do a whole reading on your connection just with your chart, but based on where's the union energy in your chart, because the doorway, the access point for you is via the house that Aries governs in your chart. Okay. And so it doesn't matter which planets are in that house. And I did a whole special on this, a union window special. You can find it in the tools for union playlist, like how to find this stuff in your own individual chart. It's free. It's here on YouTube. You can find that there. But this is going to, if you want me to break this down for you in your own chart, during this Venus retrograde season, during the fire sign season, so that's Leo season, which we are in now, and then Sagittarius season, because those are the complementary signs to Aries, we are going to get heightened union blasts as Juno floats through them. Okay. And so we'll get activation for union during those seasons. And now is one of those seasons. So if you've been stuck and trying to understand what to do in your connection, The what to do answer is in your chart. The thing to do is to book a personal reading, and we can have a look at what's the access point for that. The link for that is below this video. You can also just go to kmoonastro.com and book a personal reading that way. Okay, so we're heading into Leo season. We're already there, full moon in Aquarius. That's the opposite sign to Leo. And then Juno is about to join the party and meet up with the Venus retrograde in Leo. It's going to be a lot of Leo energy. Okay. All right. Now, let's have a look at the divine masculine energy and what's popping with Jupiter and Taurus right there. Okay. And so Jupiter is speaking harmoniously with Mars. That is a trine energy, 120-degree angle, and Mercury inside Virgo. And so I really like Mars and Mercury in Virgo. It takes Virgo's precision and affinity for details and capacity to decipher and decide this is this and not a that, to parse information. It takes it and moves it from the level of simply parsing information to actual strategy. And so what we're seeing inside the divine masculine energy fields is a movement toward ready to work. It's a roll up the sleeves in the third dimension. He's in earth sign Taurus. Mercury and Mars are in earth sign Virgo, with an influence from him, really providing him with the tools, the divine masculine energetic fields, with the tools to get out of any situation that has really been problematic. And not just that, but to move ourselves not only out of those situations, but toward circumstances in the third dimension, structures of our life that are far more lucrative. With Jupiter and Taurus, we're definitely talking about money, and not just lucrative, but also personally supportive, because we're definitely also talking about pleasure, the five senses, moving toward what feels good. Again, away from pain is the design of the human being, the design of the animals on the planet. That's the way we preserve life. And so there's an invitation to participate in the up level by taking action. That's Mars, critical thinking. That's Mercury and Virgo conjunct Mars, influencing the divine masculine energetic fields. And so this is an opportunity to really ground ourselves into, all right, I see what's up. I can't stay here. I got to do another thing. What are the steps? And to really move into some practicality here around the steps to getting toward a better tomorrow, putting the steps in order today. So I like to see that. So a lot of motivation with Mars. Mars is a very motivated energy. But because this is all going down in earth signs and not like air signs or fire signs, it's moving at earth speeds, which is a little bit slower. It's happening step by step. So this is a lot of getting organized, laying down foundation, and being strategic about the way our ambition can come into fulfillment for us. Okay. And so because that Jupiter, the divine masculine, is featured aspecting the moon and the sun, there can be a few tensions here with this. All right. Whenever we have Jupiter aspecting moon and sun, we can have a bit of it's a jovialness, it's a bit of optimism. It can be a little like high flying thinking that's not always very grounded. Thankfully, the Mars, the Mercury, and soon Venus will be in conversation with Jupiter in grounding in that way. There can be some tension there, though, with Jupiter in conversation, because sometimes with Jupiter square moon and Jupiter square sun, it is T squared of both at this lunation. sometimes there's not always the practical pieces, but thankfully, I think this new moon is going to give it to us. It's like supreme optimism. Sorry, full moon. So it's like supreme optimism meets supreme getter doneness. And so this is a divine masculine energy that is very focused on achievement in the world, carrying out purpose, fulfilling ambition. And this is whether you're in separation or identifying in some sort of union, whether you're identifying as polarized, meaning you primarily identify as divine masculine energy and have your counterpart primarily identifying in divine feminine energy. We all have both. Some people, for some reasons, at different stages and seasons, need to explore polarity. But I will remind all of us that union lives in union. And so owning both parts of self can actually allow the integration to unfold in the third dimension. And it's a very third dimensional energy. What you're going to be seeing is that somewhere, some way, somehow, some part of you is already critically thinking and strategizing about how to accomplish something in the third dimension that had previously maybe felt unattainable or like a pipe dream. Okay. Now, in your own energy, there's an invitation here to focus on your next steps for your life in terms of money, specifically because Jupiter is in Taurus, or service, because we've got all this activity up here in Virgo, the sign that deals with Virgo, or you may be finding yourself very motivated individually or in union to step up your healthcare routines, step up your self-care, step up the way that you are handling the third dimension so that it is regulated and oriented toward more greater fulfillment and pleasure for yourselves. So I really like to see that. I think it's such a nice energy. It's a very classic divine masculine providership energy where internally we've all been getting the ignition to provide for ourselves in some sort of new way. In many ways, this is really going to be about our own fulfillment in terms of work and service and money, but for some people, it may be about other things too. Okay. Let's see. In union or in partnership, this may in particular present itself as an energy of both counterparts taking on, like I said, new health goals together, or conversations and actions about what's next in mission and service. And really start taking actions to make it happen and make life more livable, more fulfilling together. You may take on some conversations about what that would have to look like for things to just be better together than what they are, what could shift in order for things to be better than what they are. That invitation is on the table to open up that dialogue, open up those conversations. And even if you've had these conversations in your partnership before, because Mercury is about to go retrograde, you may find that there's some changed hearts and minds about what were previously stalemates, or there was previously some gridlock, because Mercury is going to be speaking with Uranus during the Mercury retrograde. Uranus changes things. So you may find that it's a perfect time to revisit certain things where there was either stalemate or gridlock around the way you guys are doing 3D stuff. I want to live in the city. No, I want to live in the country. You may find there's some changed hearts and minds coming up in the next several weeks about what's possible for you. So I like it. I really like to see it. There's a real invitation here to just get happy in this energy to find what makes you happy. Find what makes you fulfilled, whether you're identifying yourself in some level of separation or some sort of union. And I'm not talking about cheap shot happiness, right? Where, it's, how like people are like, that's a good example of this. I'm thinking about my own life. In my younger days, when I would want to treat myself, somehow, some way, the treat would always include something because I have, health stuff that I manage in an ongoing way. And so I'm on a special diet most of the time when I'm not wilding out. But um, in order for my body to be a pleasurable vehicle to move through planet Earth in, the standards of care that is required of me is much higher than the standard of care that the average person is held to. There are certain foods that they just disagree. In particular, here in the US, given the way we treat food in the US, the way we grow it, the way we fertilize it, on and on. There's just certain things that I really need to say no thank you to in order for my body vehicle to be a pleasurable vehicle to roam the earth in. Now, in my much younger days, when I wanted to quote unquote treat myself, it would always be like I would want one of those indulgences that everyone can have that seems to not bother them, but will put K Moon in a world of hurt. And so this energy, and that would be like a cheap treat. Like a real treat for Kay would be one that was consequenceless. A real treat for Kay would be one that felt good, not just going in her mouth, but then felt good to the other four senses as well, right? A real treat would be one that elevated her senses and expanded her bandwidth, not just felt good in the moment, right? And that's what I'm talking about here when I'm talking about moving toward pleasure. Is to really examine, you don't have to have, one of my, highly sensitive Ferraris to drive around in order to know what I mean. You might have some other level of cheap treat for you that has consequences. Where it's like, you know what? I need to reach higher than I've reached before for pleasure and fulfillment when it comes to the quality of my life. So that the lowest I go when I go low is now higher than where I would normally be at when I was just at average. We're talking about raising the bar here, raising the floor, raising the bare minimum here to be a higher minimum. Okay. And that's what this energy is inviting us all into. So, like I said, my invitation, the invitation from the energy and my invitation to you is just get happy, y'all. Get happy, find your ways to be happy and fulfilled. Life doesn't have to be hard, okay? It really doesn't. I mean, many of us from the developed nations, those of you who are watching this, like within a week of it coming out, you didn't have to, walk 5 miles to get some internet service or to, fetch water for today. Y'all who have access to all of this, like it does not have to be as hard as many of us have made it. But in order for us to get it to be easier, we do have to face ourselves, Venus retrograde in Leo, with some real honesty about what's fulfilling and let go of the hand of the way things have always been that has been problematic for us. We have to let go of participating in our own self-victimization. So, okay, lecture over. Gosh, K-Moon, you're so chatty. My gosh, girl. If you want a reading, you know where to find me. I'm over at kmoonastro.com. We can look at how all of this works for you. and how to elevate things in your connection with a twin flame reading, a couples reading. If you want to do that, that's for 2 people who are joining. The 2 of you can come together. Those have been a lot of fun to do this year, to have 2 people to read for in session. Those are 90 minutes. But if you are in a connection and only you can come, book a personal reading because the answers are going to be in your chart. All right. I love you guys. Take great care and bye for now.